Hello, everyone. Good to see you all after a long time. Hope you and your family members are staying safe and healthy at home in this planetary pandemic situation. Thank you for joining us for today's second session of the webinar. On behalf of Career Development Center, I feel honored to host this particular session. Today, we are presenting Effective Resume Writing and Interview Handling Skills by Mr. Venugopal Srinivasan, who is currently working as Training Manager, HCL Technologies, Chennai. When we go through his profile, it states that he is a versatile leader with a philosophy: when you share your knowledge, it gets double. I strongly believe in his philosophy as I have some live examples. Further, he has more than 2 decades of experience in various streams like finance and accounts training with leading multinational companies like Wipro, HCL Technologies, and Flextronics. His area of specialization includes training on various ERP packages like SAP, Oracle ABS, and specialization like SmartView, Microsoft packages, and Hyperion, and it goes on. Now, without further ado, I'd like to hand over the session to you, sir. The digital platform is all yours. Sir, you have to unmute yourself, sir. Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Okay, so thanks a lot for the introduction, sir. And at the outset, I welcome all the participants to be a part of the resume writing and interview handling skills. So I again wish you all a very happy and warm Sunday evening. So let me share the screen with you before I start the session. Just a minute, I'll share the screen. Let me share the screen. Okay. Just give me a minute.
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay, just a minute. I will. Okay. So thanks for waiting, and I hope you are able to see my screen, which says resume writing and interview handling skills.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Perfect, thank you. So before we start, I just would like to provide a disclaimer that this particular session, at the end of 1 hour, I cannot guarantee you that it will be a game changer in your life. But what I'm confident about is, if you follow whatever has been discussed here for the next 60 minutes, if you follow that in your life consciously, then I'm sure it will do a world of good. Sounds good? Okay. Let's move on with the agenda for this session. So what is in store for us? For a moment, citing the bandwidth, I'll just stop the video and then come back to you. Okay, so thanks a lot. I'll just move on to the agenda slide right now. Hope you are able to see the agenda slide.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So what is in store for us for the next 60 minutes? What we are going to discuss is background of hiring process in the form of hiring process overview, and then we will discuss about knowledge, skill, ability, what is otherwise commonly called as KSA, and identify your own KSAs is something that we'll be discussing next. And we'll also take a self-assessment by asking ourselves the right question for choosing our career. And So this particular self-assessment is very much required before we start writing our own resume and attend interviews. And understanding the job description, it's a prerequisite before you take up any job or even before writing resume and attend the interviews. And finally, we will wrap up this particular session with some tips for effective resume writing and interview handling. Okay, so let's start off with the hiring process. So it is the responsibility of a hiring manager to form a team which, which runs the operations of the business. The hiring manager prepares the job description and shares the job description with the HR manager, who will in turn review the requirements and float the job description to the in various channels. It could be a job consultant, it could be a job portal, a company website, or even like how it has been happening in colleges, campus interviews. Now, after we understand this particular hiring process, there are two things that might come in your mind. One, what is the job description? Two, what is the use? What is the need for me to understand this hiring process? Now, we will discuss about the job description in detail as we progress through the slides. But for now, job description is something that describes about your job. Now, coming to the next question that you might have, why do we need to understand the hiring process? Now, before we take up any task, we should always ask questions like, why are we doing it? How are we doing it? And these questions that we can ask. Now, when we have answers to all these questions, we'll be better prepared to face any challenges that might come across while performing that particular operation. So now, this is one of the reasons why we'll understand the hiring process. Before we go in for a resume writing or before we go in and attend an interview, we'll be better prepared to understand the job requirements from the hiring manager, or otherwise we can call it as from the horse mouth. We'll be better prepared to be in line with the expectation of a hiring manager. Now, let's move on to what is meant by KSA. KSA is nothing but knowledge, skill, and ability. Now, what do you mean by knowledge? The theoretical understanding of a subject is called a knowledge. Now, it's an understanding. When an understanding is put into action, it becomes a skill. And when you possess the skill, it becomes an ability. In order to give a more clear picture of this knowledge, skill, and ability, let me give a small example. Let's say, for example, you all want to learn on how to drive a car. So what do you do next? The next thing that we do is enroll ourselves in a driving school. So when we enroll ourselves in a driving school, we will be put in a classroom, and then we will be taken through concepts on automobile mechanism, ABCs of car driving. When I say ABCs of car driving, how to apply accelerator, brake, clutch, and we'll also be taught on road safety and traffic rules. So all these are the theoretical and practical understanding of a subject. Now, what do you do when you wanted to gain a practical exposure here? while driving a car. The first thing that the driving school does is it will put you on a simulation mode wherein you have a model of a car in the form of a system, computer, put in that particular place where you will be asked to go and sit there. And whatever that you learn as a part of the theory class, you will apply that particular knowledge in that simulation mode. So that you will have a feeling of car driving. At the same time, you will apply whatever that's been taught as a part of the theoretical class. So this is particularly called as skill. So as and when you progress through, you will gain confidence. And this particular confidence is built in, and you will gain that kind of proficiency in driving a car. The proficiency is gained as a part of the as a part of this application of the theoretical knowledge. Now, ability is something called as a quality of your application. Now, let's get into the self-evaluation mode of this KSA. How do you evaluate yourself on whether you have the required knowledge, skill, and ability? So we will discuss about this, and at the end of this particular discussion, we will also discuss on why it is very much required for us to understand the knowledge, skill, and ability for each one of us before we create our resume writing and interview handling. Now, I just wanted to take up the same example of learning a car. When it comes to knowledge, we told that initially that it is knowledge is a theoretical or practical understanding of a subject, and it is acquired through learning or experience. So we also gave an example of how to drive a car, what are the learning that we go through in driving a car. Now, this particular knowledge, we have two types of knowledge. One is the contextual knowledge, and the next one is the tacit or experiential knowledge. The contextual knowledge is something that, say for example, I'll give you an example in order to identify this contextual knowledge. Whatever the educational qualification, whatever the training certification, whatever the certification that you gain, and that knowledge can be called as contextual knowledge. So there are certain knowledge that comes out of experience. Let's say, for example, again going back to the same old example of car driving, for all those who have undergone this learning of car driving, you would really appreciate when I say this. The first thing that you would do is, the first thing that they would teach is to release the clutch and apply the accelerator. So this requires some kind of practice. As you start driving the car more and more, you will know, you will never get stuck up. You know exactly on how to release the clutch and apply the accelerator so that car moves without any hiccup. This particular knowledge is the tacit knowledge, experiential knowledge. So this knowledge comes out of your own experience. Now, this might look a bit dry. What is this? We wanted to have a discussion about the resume writing, interview handling skills, but this person keeps on telling what is knowledge, what is skill, and what is ability. You might have a question, but these are pretty much important for us before we step into the resume creation and subsequently interview handling. Now, if I wanted to give an example of say, we'll go back to the job description at a later point of time. But for now, I'll give you an example of tacit knowledge. In a job description, you might have a particular line called the programming experience.
So across a situation wherein
There will be a line in the job description saying that you should have done projects using for the science graduates to appreciate. Let me give you a science example. Knowledge of .NET is essential. So this knowledge of .NET, this particular line will tell you about the contextual knowledge that you have. Let's take another example wherein the statement in the job description says that knowledge of project experience is required to perform this particular job. Or let's say 1.5 years of experience or 2 years of experience in projects completed with .NET. So that requires experiential knowledge, which is tacit knowledge. Not anyone could do that particular task, or not anyone could do this programming. Now, for the common students to appreciate, let me give an example of tacit knowledge to understand with more clarity. The candidate should be able to prepare budgeting and forecasting. So when I say budgeting and forecasting, I'm sure commerce graduates or those who are undergoing the graduation will be able to appreciate this. It requires a bit of experience to perform this particular task. So this requires some kind of an experience, like say for example 1 year, 1.5 years experience in budgeting, forecasting, and then you will be able to perform this particular job independently. So this is called tacit knowledge. Now we discuss about the contextual knowledge and tacit knowledge in knowledge. We are going to discuss about the skills at a later point of time. So I will reserve that particular discussion for now. Now coming to the ability, it is the quality of performing your action. I'm going back to the same example where you wanted to drive a car and you learn, how to drive a car. Now you know how to drive a car. You're out of the training school, like driving school. Now you bought a car and you are driving the car. Now this ability is something that is quite natural for you, or it comes as an inbuilt when you are born. So that's why they say that it's an inborn quality. So ability is something that is born along with you. So this is the quality. In order to give an example, the ability in driving the car, some are rash drivers. By nature they are. Some are, like say for example, defensive drivers. Some are like very safe drivers. They don't want to risk. They don't want to put their life as well as others' life into risk. So they are defensive drivers. So this ability varies from one person to the other person. So that comes along when you are born. Now this particular ability can be improved to a certain extent, not to a greater extent. Okay, so we discussed about knowledge, we discussed about ability, and we also talked about the two types of knowledge, which is tacit knowledge as well as contextual knowledge. So coming to the skills, if you ask me, in the industry, there are as many skills as possible that could be tapped across the industry. And if you want to know the list, here is the list. So there are like hospitality skills, electrical skills, tourism skills, carpentry skills, digital marketing, artificial intelligence skills, language skills, IT skills. So if you compare, if you look into the industry across, you would need all these skills in order to perform any kind of operation. So this is across the industry, the core skills that could be tapped. Now coming to the very important skills across the industry. The most important skills across industry are technical skills, communication skills, soft skills. You know why they say soft skills? Because these skills will develop your personality. It's a personality development skill. So they are called soft skills. So these skills are important skills across industry. If you ask me, there are various industries that we have. To name a few, we have banking industry, we have IT-enabled services, like say for example BPO, education industry, hospitality industry. These are naming a few, or education, like I told you, education industry. Now, whatever the skills that you see here right now in front of you, these are common across the industry. These are all very, very important skills that anyone needs to possess in order to get place of the industry of their choice. First one is the industry awareness. So that talks about before you get into the industry of your choice, you need to know about that particular industry. Let's say, for example, you have banking industry. If you want to get into the banking industry, you need to know the trend of the banking industry. You need to know the history, you need to know the current trend, and you need to know the future trend of that particular industry in order to flourish in that particular industry. Name any industry that you wanted to choose from. So you need to have this industry awareness. That itself is a skill. What is skill? Whatever that's been learned, whether it's practical knowledge or theoretical knowledge, they are put into action. How do you put into action? You get to know about about the industry in a newspaper, or from the TV, or from social media, or from the from different forums all across. Get to know about the industry of your choice and get into the industry. So the industry awareness is one such skill that we need to develop. Technical skills. Let's say, for example, the science and IT major students. Technical skill is something that I would say, knowledge of the ERP system, knowledge about your applications, knowledge about the different set of programming like .NET, Java, VJ++, I'm not sure. So these are all the skills which are specific to the industry. Let's say, for example, that's for IT. Then for the education sector, you need to have a very, very good communication skills. You need to have, you need to have very good communication skills. You need to have the presentation skills when you are in the education sector. And of course, when it comes to communication, this is a skill that will give you an edge if you are good at it. Communication skill Name any industry where you do not need a communication skill. It's very tough. It's very tough to segregate that way because communication skill is a skill that is required across industry. Whatever industry that we mentioned just now, whether it's banking, IT or ITES or education or hospitality or even tourism for that matter. If you do not have a communication skill, definitely we are not selling ourselves. So communication skill is a skill, very important skill all across the industry. Time management, problem solving, creative thinking, attention to detail, sense of urgency and ownership. These skills are called soft skills because, as I mentioned earlier, these skills develop your personality as a whole. Now we need to sharpen our saw. When I say sharpen our saw, it is we need to hone these skills in order to in order to give ourselves an edge over others. If you are very good at communication, you can join any industry. And for those who have a senior profile, let's say, for example, if you are getting into the managerial level, then you would require something like time management, decision making and problem solving, creative thinking. And if you are a person who is whose job is it's a kind of pressure, then you need to have the attention to detail. And it is not restricted to those who are freshers, but even for lateral entry, this attention to detail is a skill that anyone should have. So these are all the important skills that anyone needs to possess across the industry. So we talked about knowledge, we talked about skill, and the next important discussion is all about stop, ask, and proceed. Now we are in a self-evaluation phase before we write our own resume or attending an interview. My suggestion would be never get crashed at this particular stage, or never feel aimless at the same time, because this is the phase that decides your career. So now let's hold for a minute, ask ourselves the right questions, and then proceed with the resume writing and interview handling. We should ask ourselves these questions. What are my interests? What are my skills? Whether it's a technical skill or hard skill or soft skill. What are my skills? What are my talents and strengths? What education or training do I need? Are there jobs available in this career? Is something that we need to ask ourselves. Because now when we say, what are our skills? What are my interests? First of all, wherever we have interest, first let's identify ourselves. Now, I'm interested, in delivering a training session, or I am interested in teaching, or I am interested in programming. So only when you ask what are my interests, then you'll get to know the list of interests that you have. So list down your interests, and out of which, let's ask ourselves the next question: what are my skills? Any job as we mentioned earlier, would require skills. So, say for example, if you want to be a newsreader, you need to have excellent communication skills, excellent presentation skills. If you want to be a, let's say for example, if you wanted to get into the top management, you need to have excellent communication skills. You need to have excellent people management skills, and you need to have some of the other behavioral skills that, I mean, soft skills that we mentioned earlier. Decision making capability, people management skills, and sense of urgency and ownership, creative thinking, and problem solving. So these are like, name a few. These are all the skills that you would require in order to become a CEO. So some might be interested in, to work in the bank. In such a case, you would require first list down the interests that you have, and basis your interest, list down the skills that you possess. Be very, very honest to yourself when you list down all this, and otherwise you will take wrong decisions in life. Now, what are my talents and strengths? So this is the third question that we need to ask ourselves. What are my talents and strengths? When you get a job, this is your talent, this is your strength. Sky is the limit, because when you get a job that uses your talent, that uses your strength, it comes to you very naturally. Let's say, for example, if you have a very good communication skill, and if you have very good presentation skills, and you have a good presence of mind, and you are abreast with the the latest information from the media industry. When you have all these, and you're also interested in media, you wanted to be a newsreader, and your talents and strengths are the same, then starting from the day one, you will be able to perform like that of those who are working for several years. And that's the reason why I ask you to identify your talents and strengths, because your talents and strengths are going to help you in your career and aim to progress in your career, and that will help you to aim high, soar high. So what kind of training that I need to undergo, or what kind of education do I need to undergo? If you are a person who would like to who would like to become a millionaire, and you wanted to go in for further studies in US or UK, some of you might feel that you wanted to travel abroad, get settled there, earn millions of dollars. So in such a case, you have to understand, or those who wanted to be in the same country, serve in your own ways, and for all the professions, you need to understand your skills, and you need to understand your talents and strengths. You also need to understand what kind of education or training that do I need to undergo. For some of you who wanted to go abroad, you might be thinking that, if I do a master's of science in entrepreneurship, then I'll become an entrepreneur. Some of you might think that, if I complete MBA in Harvard, then I will be able to, do well in shaping up my economy. For that, You need to understand what are your interests, what are your skills, and what are your talents and strengths. And then you'll be able to understand what kind of education, whatever the education that I've completed, does it suffice, or do I need to undergo any other higher studies in order to achieve this uh, aspiration? Now, the very important point that we need.
It's a very important question.
That we need to ask ourselves is, are there jobs available in this career? Am I audible right now?
Sir, it's not that clarity, sir. You have to check your mic.
Okay,
It's
just a
echoing
minute.
actually. Yeah.
Just give me a moment. I'm just switching over to.
Sure, sir. Students, it will take just a moment's time as the speaker is getting this technical issue resolving. So please wait for a moment. Okay, until then, if at all you guys have any kind of a questions, you can start posting in the chat box.
Okay, so am I audible right now? So okay, I guess I'm able to. I'm sure you're able to hear me. Okay. Okay, so let's identify, evaluate, and march ahead. So we discussed about the the important questions that we need to ask, stop, ask, and proceed. So after we get to understand about all these, after we get to understand the answers for all these important questions, then we will identify, evaluate, and march ahead. Now, this is the job description that I was talking about when we discussed about the hiring process overview. So this is the job description. It's a sample job description of a particular band or a designation. And this job description, so it's not applicable for all the levels because the job description will be different for different levels and across the industry. For a better clarity for all the participants, what I will do is I will explain about this job description and
of whatever that we discussed, like knowledge, skills, and abilities. So job description is a repository of all the knowledge, skill, and abilities. So you would find all these here, and whatever that we discussed, like the contextual knowledge, the practical knowledge, and we also discussed about the various skills, like soft skills required, and we also talked about the technical skills required in order to perform a job. So we also mentioned that the job description will describe about the required vacancy for a particular job. So I would always suggest that before you create a resume writing and before you write your own resume and attend the interview, so it is very important that we need to understand the job description. So how do you read the job description? The first one is the description of activities. So the description of activities will help us to identify the description of the nature of the work that you're going to perform once you are hired. So this is how it looks. And it also contains, the job description also contains the knowledge requirement and ability to perform the job. So the contextual knowledge that we talked about, the education, and it also talks about the ability to perform a job. Like a person should be excellent communication, and you should have 1.5 years of experience. So that particular activity talks about the ability to perform a job. They would require certain ability to perform this particular area of work. And this particular job description also talks about the soft skill requirement. So as you could see here, they say that candidates should have very good communication skills in English. So this is something that we need to understand. Now, I would like to give a note of caution. You need to be going through the job description before you apply for a job. If you don't do it, there are two things that might happen. One, you will find yourself misfit at some point of time during your job. Second thing, you will feel that you are overqualified to do that particular job. Now, what is the outcome that we are going to what is the outcome as a result of these two situations? You are going to change your job very frequently, and that's going to be a big question in interview. The interviewer might feel that you are aimless because you are moving from one job to the other job. The first question that they would ask is why you are moving. And the second thing is they might also feel that you are greedy, because if one job is offering better package, then you would move to the next job. And if this is the pattern that they see, then they would come to your situation. They would come to your understanding that this is the pattern that you will follow with their organization as well. And that's going to be a challenging situation for us. So it is better that we read through the job description that's been rolled out to us. If in case you do not have an opportunity to go through the job description, please ask the person from whom you are receiving this job requirement. Okay, so the job description will vary as per the nature of the job, industry, and designation. Now, finally, let's come to the do's and don'ts of a good resume rating. Now we know we talked about the knowledge, we talked about the skills, we talked about the abilities, and we also discussed about the various skills, KSAs that we need to come out with. And we also talked about the various skills that we need to possess, and how to evaluate ourselves by asking the right questions. Now, what are the do's and don'ts of a good resume rating? So we have the list, we have listed the points here. Don't put everything on there. That's something that we need to understand. So a particular, and ideally the resume should have the name, qualification, contact number, experience gained, and any additional certification or training that you would have gone through, and that would give you an edge over others, is something that should be a part of your resume. And second thing is ditch the objective statement. I say this with confidence is because the interviewer or the hiring manager at this particular point of time is not going to look at the candidate whether whether he has mentioned the objective statement or not. Because this objective statement, if at all, if an interviewer wants to know about your objective, then he or she might check that as a part of your personal interview or a face-to-face interview. So at the resume writing level, please avoid objective statement. The resume should be a single pager. Ideally, it should be a single pager, or for those who have enough experience, you can go to a maximum of 2 pages. But ideally, it should be a single pager, and especially for freshers, please make it as simple as possible. Just restrict yourselves with 1 page with whatever details that I mentioned just now. Keep it recent, keep it relevant. Now, whatever the recent educational qualification that you have undergone, whether you have changed your mobile number, whether changed your address, whether you have obtained any kind of training certification that you have done in the recent past. So update everything, and then you float the resume. And list out your skills. So when I say list out your skills, list out only the key skills, and that skill should give you an edge over others. Please don't put all the skills and flood that resume. As I mentioned, the resume should be short and simple, and it should be a very interesting one. And even if it is a 1-pager, ideally it should be a 1-pager, and that invites you for a call with the hiring manager. So list out only the key skills that you're possessing. The last but not the least, proofread, proofread, proofread. Because I could see from all the previous interviews that their resume is entered with, where a resume is floated with errors, with spelling mistakes, with grammatical mistakes. So it's always better that if you proofread your resume. Now, I would also suggest that you keep your resume in line with the job description. So you can always, it's a good idea to tweak your resume according to the job description that you're applying for. And that's one of the reasons I told you to go through the job description in detail. So this is all about resume writing. Coming to effective interview handling. So what are the tips for an effective interview handling? Research the industry and company. So why do you might be asking a question on why should I research about the industry or company that I am applying for? From the interviewer's point of view, the reason why they ask about their company, the reason why they ask about the industry is because they wanted to know how keen are you to get a job in that organization, or how keen are you to prosper or flourish in that particular industry. So that is the reason you wanted to show your keenness to get the job in that particular organization or in that industry. So in such a case, you need to be doubly sure of researching the industry and company that you're applying for. Second thing, dress like a boss and present yourself. If you want to become a CEO, dress like a CEO. This might be an impractical statement, but I would suggest, some of us might feel that, we are from a poor background and we can't afford that much, expensive dress. But ideally speaking, with all due respects to all those who think that way, I would say that this is not an expense, but this is an investment, one-time investment that will reap you lifetime rewards. So dress like a boss and present yourself like a boss. So when I say boss, so you should be exuding with confidence. and you should always say appropriate, you should always have an appropriate dress code. And third thing, practice extempore. This extempore is, impromptu communication. Whenever you are attending an interview, there is a common question that's been asked by the interviewer. Tell me about yourself. So tell me about yourself. Why the interviewer asking this question is because they wanted to check your extempore. So impromptu communication. So always be prepared. So practice this extempore speeches and take any topic. Some of the interviewers are very, very smart enough. They would give you a topic and ask you to speak for 10 minutes because they wanted to assess you on your communication. And that's why we mentioned that communication is very, very essential in order to win over others. And this extempore speech will help you to effectively communicate with others. So practice extempore, go through the videos of the speakers, and you should be ready to talk on any topic. Some of the interviewers might as well ask you to speak on your favorite topic for 5 to 10 minutes. So that's something that we need to practice. So speak the right body language. So when I say you put up a smile, very confident face, you can also have a firm handshake. So before you extend your hand, I'm not sure whether this situation will arise hereafter in the recent future, but whenever you're extending your hand, be very, very firm enough to provide a firm handshake. And otherwise, shaky handshake will show you that you are very nervous. And portray that you mean business. You talk to the point. Do not talk in excess with an interviewer because you are giving a lead to the interviewer to ask more questions. To the point, and do not show up your emotions at any point of time. You might be frustrated at some point of time, or you might be fatigued because of long hours of waiting to get into the interview room. You might be disappointed on the way while you are attending an interview, but never show up your emotions when you are attending an interview. So keep your emotions under control, come what may. And always freshen up yourself before you enter the interview room. There's no, it's, it's quite advisable. And bring a copy of your resume to every interview. It looks silly, it looks silly, but it's very, very effective. Please always carry a copy of your resume. We are in an e-age, but we do not know what will happen on that particular day. So always share, take a copy of your resume along with you while going for an interview. While you go in for an interview. And that shows why I say that you need to carry a copy of your resume for any interview in this age, because people, the interviewer might think that you are very proactive. So you preempt all those challenges and be prepared for it. And that's something that the indication that the interviewer will have on you. So he or she will appreciate it. And that will act as an edge over others in the interview. And don't give up and think positive always. Come what may, think positive. There is a saying which goes, as you sow, so shall you reap. If you sow apple seeds, can you expect orange fruit? No, it's against the nature. So man is full of positivity. So whatever the positive thoughts that you're going to sow today will always reap positive results tomorrow. There cannot be negative results if you did not sow the negative thoughts. So always be positive. You will get the positive results. And stay positive and expect positive results. Thank liberally. We have been learning from the Westerners all sorts of culture. We have been following the Western culture very closely. But one thing that we need to learn from the Westerner is to thank liberally. It's not going to cost us. So whenever you are getting into the interview room, so if the interviewer says you can sit, you say thank you, sir, or thank you, madam. So if they say that so how are you today? How are you doing today? I'm fine, thanks. How about you? So likewise, thank for each and every statement. So that will definitely give a very, very good impression about you. First of all, I just would like to reiterate this particular fact that why do you require a face-to-face interview when you have a resume writing or a telephonic interview? Face-to-face interview take precedence over telephonic interview because that will talk about your personality. So the interviewer would like to know about your personality. So that's the reason we wanted to present yourself in the best possible manner. And that's one of the reasons why we have the face-to-face interviews. So these are all the topics that I wanted to cover. I'm just opening up for any questions that I might have before we hang up this particular discussion.
Thank you, sir. Students can now post their questions in the chat box.
Okay, so I guess if there are no questions, then we can wind up the discussion.
Yes, sir. I hope so. There is no question so far. So
Okay.
with the word of thanks, we'll wrap up the session now.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. On behalf of the management, Faculty of Science and Humanities, and students of SRM IST, I place my sincere gratitude to the speaker, Mr. Venugopal Srinivasan, for his insightful professional presentation today. Thank you for accepting to present for a small group of students. And I hope that this would have helped our students to upgrade themselves in CV building. So one moment, sir. I think there's a question from one of the students. Can you go ahead with that?
Yeah, please.
The question is from Dina P. What do you do at attending an interview when he asks us to explain about you? I think that is mentioning about tell about yourself.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that question? I didn't get
Yes,
that.
sir. He's asking about what to do at attaining an interview when he asks us to explain about you. I think he's explaining here about tell about yourself.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, this is one of the common questions that you would start the interview with. So all you have to do is be prepared. This is much expected question. This is not an unexpected question. This is a much expected question from any interviewer that you would meet with. Now, if they ask you, tell me about yourself, you prepare your resume. So first of all, you should be thorough with your resume. Whatever that you had written in your resume, so just go through it and present in the same way. And you can also add, like say, for example, you can talk about your name, where are you coming from? So what is your educational qualification, and what are the training and certification that you have completed. And you can also talk about your passion, and you can also talk about your interest, provided if they give you enough time to explain about this particular question. So you can feel free to share all whatever that you had mentioned in your resume.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. There's another question from a student named Swatini. What are the questions they may ask in interview and how to prepare for that?
Again, I'm so sorry. Can you please repeat?
Yes, sir. What are the questions they may ask in interview and how to prepare for that?
I guess, that they might ask you, it's a I mean, open-ended question, they might ask you about yourself, they might ask you about your education, they might also ask you about, in case if you're getting into the lateral entry position. So let's say, for example, you have some work experience and then you wanted to attend an interview, they might ask you about interview. So, and this type of question will vary from levels, across levels. Like say, for example, it different from one level to the other level. Like say, for example, if you are a person who is aspiring to become a manager, they would ask you to test you on your people management skills. There are various questions that they might ask you, but mostly with related to whatever has been discussed today. One, your knowledge. Second, your skills. Third, your ability to perform. So that shows up, your experience, in case if you're experienced. If you're a fresher, this is your first interview, then they might ask you about you might have more technical question in your own subject. Like say, for example, if you're attending an accountant interview, there they may test you on your accounting knowledge. If you are going to appear for a IT interview, then they might question you on your programming skills. What are the various other, like say, for example, in case if you are going if you are going to attend the interview as a PhD student, then they might ask you about your research methodology and various other, literature topics and things like that. So it might differ across levels, but these are all the most common questions. They will test your knowledge, they will test your skills, they will test you about your experience, in case if you're going as a experienced candidate. Otherwise, most of the questions will be revolving around, for a refresher, most of the questions revolves around their education.
So there's another question from Vindhya. How to respond to the question, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Perfect. So what are your strengths and weakness? So if they ask me during an interview, the best thing is to be on a safer side. I told you to go through the job description before you apply for a job. The reason why I asked you to go through the job description is the job description provides enough information about the knowledge, skill, and ability. So you assess yourself, and I also told you that you can write down, ask yourself your strengths, those set of questions. What are my strengths and weakness, or what are my strengths and how should I say, what are my strengths and weakness? If in such a case, then you already would have ascertained your strengths, and you should be prepared to answer those. Whatever you think is your strength with related to that particular job, you can say that. Otherwise, whatever the strength that you feel apart from the job, that you can mention that. But ideally speaking, I would suggest that whatever is being given in the job description, compare that and understand your strength and challenges with related to that particular job, and you can share that, because they will be able to appreciate and mind that you are fighting with various other people. So in such a case, you always wanted to give that bit of extra effort, and you wanted to gain an edge over others. In such a case, I would suggest that you ask yourself the questions, and after you go through the job description, just provide the strengths which are aligned to that particular job that you're applying for. So thereby, you will get an edge over others. Hope this
Yes, sir, you
answers your
justified the
question.
question. Yes, sir. The next question is from Rakshana.
Yeah.
Other than degree, what does the industry expect from an employee? This is a question, sir.
Okay, so this seems to be a bit generic because every industry has got its own expertise level that they're expecting out of. Let me give an example. If you are getting into ITES, IT-enabled services. In such a case, apart from your education, uh, you know, the best bet is to go through the job description and then prepare yourself to face the, to prepare, to create a resume and to attend the interview. So the best bet is the job description. And I told you on how to read the job description and align yourself to that particular document. So that's the key document that any person, whoever is creating the resume and attending an interview, should go through.
All right, sir. So one of the student wants you to share your debut interview experience.
Wow, that's quite interesting one. I was a bit nervous, like how I am right now. I was a bit nervous at that particular point of time, but you know, whatever that I'm sharing with you today, the tips for effective resume writing and interview handling skills were those the lessons that I learned in a hard way when I faced the first interview. I was a bit tensed, and I don't want others, you know, let this be my learning. And that's one of the reasons. I think, you know, in the introduction, sir would have told about me. So I always have a philosophy in my mind. When you share your knowledge will be doubled. And that's the same thing, you know, that I'm doing right now. Whatever that I had gone through, whatever the nervousness that I had gone through, I have put that across, and now I am very successful enough to be a part. I mean, to be a part of the interview panel, hiring panel. That's because whatever the learning, whatever the challenges that you come across in life, you take lessons from it and forget the challenges. All that should remain with us is they are only the lessons that we learn from all the challenges. So what I had done initially during my first interview, I was a bit nervous. So I took all those lessons and forgot about the experience. And that's the reason, no, I'm just thinking twice before I answer this particular question. But what I have retained with me is not the bad experience, but the learnings that I carried all through to make me very strong enough. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm sharing this inputs with you. And I always believe that, you know, after you go through this particular topic, I'm sure, you know, you should be preparing well for your, in creating the resumes and, you know, attending the interviews.
So another general question from a student called Ilakya. Most of the companies are expecting experienced candidates. Then what about the freshers, sir?
Not that way. Your question is good, but I really appreciate it. But this is not the ideal scenario. If you ask me, especially at the current situation, those who are in the top management are facing severe hiccups because they are being paid high, and management believes that, you know, they can manage with, like say for example, if they have 10 managers up the ladder, then they wanted to cut them down to, you know, 4 or 5, and everyone should take additional responsibility. Now the axe is falling upon only on the top management or in the middle management, but still the companies are going in for the you know, the freshers. And being a part of the interview panel, I personally believe that the freshers are still you know, required for any of the industries to survive. First thing, you know, there are bit of training cost involved, but nowadays, you know, colleges or universities, they prepare the candidates in such a way that, you know, they train even before they get into the corporate world. So that also became easy. That cut down the training cost for the organization. So in such a case, freshers are in high demand. Believe me, this is the fact. And once they are into the corporate world, they are trained further, and they are made as a full-time resource. That I would say that don't worry about you know, the freshers not being demanded on a high scale. freshers are very much required and they are integral part of the hiring panel. So that's something that I wanted you to know. So you are in demand.
Right, sir. Thank you. The next question is posted by Harini. Sir, can you please tell the difference between a resume and curriculum vitae?
I mean, two different terminologies, curriculum vitae and resume writing, resume, two different biodata. So you have another name as well. And that's the advantage of, being in the society where you would call the same thing with different names. Curriculum vitae, resume, biodata, everything one of the same. And they have multiple templates. Believe me, if you go if you open up a Word document template, and you would find, list of templates which are there in front of you. So each one of the templates has got its own name. So in such a case,
Block the video, don't worry.
all all these are called by different names, but they are one and the same. But I mean, as I mentioned earlier, would restrict any of the candidates. You can restrict for a one-pager resume rather than going in for a multiple-page resume, because the interviewer might get irritated and you might lose an opportunity to appear for a face-to-face interview. So crisp, short, clear, and you can call by different names: resume, biodata, curriculum vitae, whatever it is.
Sir, Amrita Ramkumar has raised a question. Sir, in case if I'm not able to answer a particular question, how should I handle it?
Very good. That's a good question. I really appreciate the one who had asked this question. So this is something that everyone should need to know. And if you do not know, I mean, definitely, even though we are prepared for an interview, it doesn't mean that we have to answer all the questions. And the interviewer, it's not fair on his part. And the interviewer will never ever feel that you should be asking, I mean, you should be answering to all the questions that he has asked. Now, if you do not know the answer for any of the question, it's very simple. You tell him or her, ma'am, sir, I'm sorry, I do not know. And stepping into the shoes of an interviewer, I really appreciate that particular answer, because the reason is the interviewer feels that you are very frank and honest. And that's something that they wanted to know from you. There are some examples wherein you say, sir, I know this. Then they will ask some other question about that. And then you would say, sir, I don't know. So if this is a situation, then it might go against you. In all possibilities, the best bet is, in case if you do not know the answer for any of the question, you can always say, sir, I'm sorry, I do not know the answer for this question. They simply like that because you are honest. Any more questions? Any more questions from anyone?
One last question, sir.
Sure.
Before wrapping up, it has been
Yeah.
posted by Kishore Raj.
Yeah.
I personally have a problem in speaking. I stammer at times. With this, how can I present me well in the interview with this issue?
Don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. Even if you stammer, no problem at all. So the interviewer, now what happens, it's a very good question again. I really appreciate it. Being an interviewer, in case if you stammer, that's okay. Now, I would step into the shoes of an interviewer. If I am the interviewer, I would first test you on your functional knowledge. Then I would test you on your technical knowledge. Then I would test you on your communication knowledge. The problem comes, it's not a problem actually, but you feel it might affect your performance in an interview. And that's the reason I quote that particular word. But it's not a problem at all. when I come to the communication aspect, I would ask you, like say for example, extempore. I'm going to ask you the extempore. I'm going to provide you a topic, and that's where you feel that your problem starts. But that's okay. I understood that. But I believe that you have done very well in functional knowledge. You have done excellent. You have given excellent response in your technical knowledge. But when it comes to communication, you stammer. And in such a case, but still, I would go ahead and hire you. But only one thing is, I will try to find out whether I can put you on the communication, the client handling part. So in case if there is any process that that would require you to work with email, then I would put you there, because I believe that you have all other knowledge apart from this communication. So I would put you in the place where you don't need to where you don't need to converse with the client. So in such a case, then I can still hire you. But I would always suggest, before you going for an interview, just try to work on that particular part. Try to do your best, give your best, the result will be the best. Don't worry about all these. Just try to work on your challenging areas, and you will come out good.
All right, sir, I think you have answered almost all the questions. Indeed, it was a terrific session. I personally enjoyed it. I hope the students would have enjoyed as well. We would like to share your email ID with the students. If at all they have any kind of clarification required in the future, they might contact you.
Definitely. I really enjoyed and being a part of this particular session. It's a great opportunity to interact with the students. And in the current situation, I would suggest there are no interviews happening, and there are no colleges that are running right now. So in the current situation, stay home, stay safe, and I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. I would see that you come out successful during interviews, and whenever you have any question on resume writing or any question about any interview, you can feel free to send out a question to my email address. I'll do my best in answering that. Thank you so much, and have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. With this, we will wrap up the session.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The feedback form is being circulated in the chat box. Kindly fill it up. We'll meet you up in the next session by tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. லீவ் மீட்டிங் கொடுத்தா இதே போக மாட்டேங்குது.